feel free to post questions in the Q&A and we can answer them as they come in. I have one question here, I think it's directed to Justin from a VP of Research and Analytics. What has been your biggest pleasant surprise throughout this journey that will help other sites adopt?
There's been a lot of pleasant surprises. I think it's a good question. I think the one that jumps out to me the most is we have a weekly call with the Raven team. It started with a lady named Laura, and then we moved on to work with Connor and Lorianne as well. And I think what's jumped out to me the most is they have a remarkable level of ownership as we've deployed the Raven software and kind of built out our plant using the Raven equipment. This means that they'll ask us questions about our production lines and tell us what they're seeing in the data. So when we hop on the call every Wednesday, we have one this afternoon I'm looking forward to, they're going to come with our weekly report of how we did in our filling areas and our packaging areas and ask us, our tagging compliance might be here. What do we want to do to get there? Do we need any support? But the biggest surprise overall has been, it's not just been a technology deployment. There's been a consistent engagement, a consistent level of ownership. And when there's an issue, they're quick to jump on it. And it's just been overall very pleasant from that part of it. I feel like we truly have a partnership here. And it's less about the transaction, if you will, and more about building a future together, which has been really, really cool and helpful for me as well, because there's an engineer here named Grace that's really kind of been doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and her work with the Raven team has been seamless. And I can't say enough good things about that.
I appreciate to hear that. I think it's always nice to get that feedback. I think the one of the things that we've always done in building our company here is making sure to combine expertise in manufacturing, folks who have steel toe shoes that are scuffed up. And I think that's something, having spent several years working in manufacturing, there's a certain experience you get. And I think you mentioned it yourself, getting up early, working 6 days, and there's a certain experience and you get in working in manufacturing. And I think for many of us, it was a very positive experience. And I think our team is excited to be able to support, manufacturers, in the way that we can with sort of software. But no, it's great to hear. And in manufacturing, it's fun to work in manufacturing. And I don't think as many people recognize that it's an awesome place to get experience, both with latest technologies and with leadership. It's a great place. And I won't comment on Lakewood, New Jersey here, but I had had a great experience there. So next question here from an operations director: do you need to interface with the ERP? And I think I can take this one here. So one of the things, if you want to understand what's happening at a process, you need sufficient context about what's being produced. So often information from the ERP is needed to understand the target cycle time for a given product. So if you want to understand if you're running too quickly or too slowly, or even in some cases understand how much time is needed to set it up, that is information that's often needed from the ERP, but we don't need to connect live to the ERP. A lot of this information can be captured asynchronously to be able to make it so that you're able to operate the Raven system without a live connection to the ERP. And as things evolve, we can absolutely create more connections with these other systems, whether it be ERP or MES or other advanced technology solutions. The key thing, as it is with operators, you don't need to jump right to the end. You can do things in an incremental approach. But as things evolve, you want to make sure that you are grabbing and obtaining context from all areas possible. And I guess maybe, I don't know if you have any comments to that, Justin, as well, because I know you produce many different parts. What can you comment on kind of the connection between what you're doing on the shop floor and your ERP?
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason that Raven was such a viable and helpful solution for us was we actually did not want to integrate it with our ERP right off the bat. We wanted a layered solution that wouldn't impact the validated state of our software or equipment. So essentially, Raven provided the ability to do so without any additional integration on that side. But as Martin said, if we want to, we can in the future. So that gave us the speed of deployment to do the proof of concept and do the pilot, from which we've rapidly expanded. And I think every line that's coming on site now from a manufacturing perspective is expected to have a Raven system on it, which is a market change from 2 years ago.
And there's another question that just came in. So does Renaissance, and I almost said it in the French way coming from Quebec here, but Does Renaissance have any plans to perform this type of evaluation on other portions of the business? If so, what's next?
Yeah, yes. I mean, that's the exciting part, right? What's next? So, what we want to do on some of our next phases of work, specifically, is look at the things that are more of an OPE type thing, and less of an OEE type thing. And what that means is looking at personnel or process effectiveness. So, what we want to look at is from a changeover side, can we use the Raven module to define the changeover recipe and start to basically tap when we're done the step and get better discrete information, first of all, about the adherence to our process steps, and then also the time with which it takes to get those done. So there's definitely plans to do that. And we also want to pull that in some of our upstream portions on maybe the compounding side, but the possibilities are relatively limitless. It's just a matter of prioritizing appropriately. And I think where we're focused right now is specifically on the changeover side of things to make sure that we can get sharper there.
Yeah, and that's one area I think similar to shift changes. It's one of these hidden losses where, again, if you spend all your time looking at machine data, you can over-index on those kinds of issues where there's often huge potential to improve changeover performance. And one of the exciting things, and it kind of goes back to our previous conversation, is that improving changeover performance is one of the areas that frontline operations, if given the capacity and training, they can contribute to significantly. Like, this is something that they live day to day, and it's exciting to work on initiatives where operators can contribute and drive significant improvement through things that don't necessarily involve buying new robots or new technology systems. And I think those low-hanging fruit that can where problems that can be solved with the teams and resources you have in place are always really exciting.
It always starts with a conversation. So as we're starting this process now in our aseptic areas and things like that, we're sitting down and we're just talking about the interfaces and kind of doing that SMED exercise and understanding where we start at, right? What's the current forest look like? So when we upgrade it a little bit, we have a better looking forest, but we remember which trees we changed and all that stuff as well. So there's a lot of underlying, again, interpersonal work that has to happen ahead of time, but we definitely will be expanding and doing so using the Raven system on that side.
Awesome. Well, I think we've reached the end of our time here, one minute over. So Justin, I want to thank you for agreeing to be part of this webinar. Great conversation, and a great continuation. From kind of our sessions before this. Thanks everybody for joining, and I look forward to next time.